passejada aquí al barco. Això que podeu veure aquí és el que consumiríem una setmana. Per una banda hi ha els plats liofilitzats, són els plats principals, que els faig 2 àpats al dia d'aquests. Hi ha algun que està preparat, però la majoria són liofilitzats. En aquesta banda d'aquí hi hauria postres i esmorzars i coses per picar entre hores, amb barretes energètiques, alguna llauna també porto. Què més? Sobres de fruita, etc. Això ho porto per setmanes perquè així, si un dia em ve de gust una cosa o una altra, doncs puc escollir, per escollir. Aquest bidó, que seria el bidó de les tentacions, perquè hi guardo tot el xocolata, les coses així més delicades, com secs, galetes, també hi ha, el pa, que el guardo així embolicat perquè no es trenqui. Què més tenim per aquí? Això, per exemple, és un menjar que és liofilitzat. Són espinacs que es pot afegir als altres plats i així estan més bons. També porto una mica d'oli d'oliva per afegir els plats també. Això és per tota la regada, tota aquesta ampolla. I també, bueno, un farmatón al dia que també ens prenem. I això és tot, això seria per una setmana.
So today's animation shows Chimney Pujala then, well clear of the equator now in steady northeasterly trade winds, making reasonable speeds. Gaia Centris Auditivos and Neutrogena still close together, about 200 miles apart. Their trade winds improving a little bit, and just very close together are One Planet One Ocean Farmaton and We Are Water still a little bit ahead. And that tempestuous Cape Horn rounding is complete now for your creatures. Then Sebastian Odegan, now clear of Staten Island and heading up to the east of the Falklands and approaching Cape Horn 1500 miles away. Spirit of Hungary, good conditions for them, making good speeds. So on today's leaderboard, well, Chimney Pujala in the trade winds, making about 10.5 knots over the last 30 minutes until 9 o'clock this morning, 10.5 knots overnight. Fairly steady speeds for the trade winds, making 251 nautical miles over 24 hours. Neutrogena 13.7 knots this morning, 10.6 over 24 hours, 255, so gaining very slightly on Chimney. Gaia Centris Auditivos 225 miles over 24 hours, very similar speeds, a little bit slower than Neutrogena and a little bit slower this morning. We Are Water and One Planet One Ocean Farmaton, well, We Are Water extending slightly this morning with good speeds, quickest in the fleet at 17.1 knots. Renault Captur speedier again this morning, now 13.9 knots, and Spirit of Hungary 16 knots this morning. So the top half of the fleet today, well, the leaders, Chimney Pujala, steady progress really, not pushing it too hard in the trade winds. Trade winds round about 14-15 knots from the northeast. The boat will be slamming quite a bit probably in these conditions, and so I think that Bernard Stamm and Jean Le Cam will just ease off slightly, take the pressure off and just keep the speeds modest. They have a lead of over 1500 miles, and so no need to push too hard. Neutrogena making good speeds in light trade conditions, averaging around 13 knots this morning. Gaius a couple of knots slower and about 180 miles to their south. And behind them, We Are Water have for the first time since rounding Cape Horn really started to pull away from One Planet One Ocean today. The Garcia brothers sailing at 16 to 17 knots this morning to One Planet One Ocean's 12 to 13. Just 400 miles or so in the last 24 hours. So conditions generally fairly favourable. We have now 6 boats into the Atlantic, just Spirit of Hungary still 1,500 miles from Cape Horn. They are making good progress, and their forecast for Cape Horn around about 3 to 4 days time does look quite favourable, maybe 25 to 30 knots as it stands just now forecast for Cape Horn, Jitnandorfa and for Conrad Coleman. So very much straightforward conditions compared with the rounding that Renault Captur have just seen.
Survived it. No, actually, I mean, it's a little bit chilly now. All in all, it's quite comfortable. We got 20 knots. We are reaching with the big Seneca, which we haven't seen for a long time. Clear skies, so a bit of a contrast between today and yesterday. Just as I keep home, we thought, okay, it's going to be easy and no stress. Just afterwards, 1 hour after Cape Horn, came the first gust with 17 knots of wind. So boat was lying flat with the turf leaf in the main and the J3. So and from there on, it went a bit scary. So we arrived to bear away, roll the G3, and continue the triple reef mainsail alone, and still flat doing surfs of 24, 25 knots. Sea was really wide and really steep, and no, it was in the end it was pretty scary. For our first rounding of Cape Horn, it was a big one. You ask yourself, okay, what's going to happen if the autopilot freaks out and makes a mistake, or there's a failure of the autopilot? Then you have a real big problem. That was a bit scary. Every 10 years, a day like that is okay, but not more often, because if not, we are getting too old too quick. So I don't want to see that in 2016, in 2018. That shouldn't be on the menu next time. I'm really pleased. Before Cape Horn, I was like, because we were slightly gutted with our race after the weather issue south of New Zealand. So we had a bit of a bad humor and said, well, okay, we're going on Cape Horn and not really important. But in the end, when you see it, then you see what you have achieved. So in the end, for me, going world first time on Cape Horn was in the end a big achievement. And continuing after the weather failure after New Zealand, I think was a good thing, because that shows that we want to continue, that we want to finish the race. So in the end, even that is an achievement. Even if the result is not as we wish, I think finishing the race is an achievement in itself.
So a really difficult rounding of Cape Horn, certainly the most stressful and difficult we've seen in the 3 editions of the Barcelona World Race so far. And Seb Odigan and Jörg Richter sounding relieved, and certainly the conditions this morning much better, in 20 to 25 knots of breeze, flatter seas. In fact, they've got the big Jenniker up, and that's the first time they've seen that big sail for a long time. But overall, really for Seb Odigan, saying it was the worst conditions he's seen, the most stressful situation in 25 years of sailing, and Seb has done most things. He's been round in maxi cats, and of course he sailed round last time with a very delicate situation then with Quito de Pavon on Group Bell. They had a big problem with their keel. They knew they were going to stop, but they just wanted to get round Cape Horn. And the first time round ever in the career of Jörg Richters, and really very happy to have made it. He said that they both really confirmed that they'd minimised the risks as much as possible. They had contemplated turning round when they saw this storm approaching and how it was going to develop. The situation was very much the building of a perfect storm. It was all about timing, and in the end the timing pretty much worked for them. They got round Cape Horn in reasonable conditions, and it was really only after that they hit the big winds. But they did what they had to do and are in good shape today.
Aquí podéis ver las literas, hay dos, una en cada lado, que las usamos una u otra indistintamente en función de las condiciones del viento. La litera es esta estructura que se mueve arriba y abajo y que tiene una lona sobre la cual dormimos. Para estar un poco más cómodos, lo que utilizamos es esta esterilla de camping, para estar un poquito más cómodos. Y ahora, si Didac quiere subir, os enseñamos el funcionamiento de la litera. Esta litera, como hemos dicho, es que subía y bajaba, es reclinable y sirve para poder, tirando de este cabo, vamos tirando, la litera se va inclinando y va subiendo para poder siempre dejarla lo más horizontal posible, y en función de la escora que tiene el barco, de la inclinación lateral, la podemos regular para siempre estar lo más horizontal posible. También tenemos esta lona, que en caso de muy mal tiempo, pues la podemos colocar para evitar posibles caídas mientras estamos durmiendo. Y así protegernos de una caída. Así es como dormimos. De hecho, bueno, aquí ahora falta el saco de dormir y el cojín, pero bueno, la posición de dormir es esta y así es como dormimos. En otros momentos que a lo mejor no dormiremos 3 horas seguidas, pero vamos a aprovechar para descansar un poco, también tenemos bueno, no sé si decirlo sofá o sillón o silla, pero lo que hacemos es regularla. Es regulable en altura tanto de piernas como de cuerpo, entonces muchas veces también lo podemos regular en función de las condiciones climatológicas del barco, pues nos ponemos aquí, pues podemos controlar aquí el piloto automático y la meteorología, y al mismo tiempo pues nos podemos estirar y hacer pues una pequeña siesta, igual de 10 minutos o un cuarto de hora, incluso podríamos llegar a dormir más, ¿no? Pero bueno, según qué condiciones, a veces es bastante práctico poder descansar un poco aquí, aunque no sea estirado completamente y con el saco de dormir, pero con la misma ropa de agua, pues poder sentar aquí y descansar un poquito.
Situation today for Barcelona race. For the leader, it's now in North Hemisphere. It just passed the doldrums. The was not very complicated. Transition is very quick, so he benefits from wind from northeast, around 15 knots wind. So good progression in the hemisphere north. So no stop for him and very easy way for the moment. About Neutrogena and Gaes, they are better speed too. The trade wind from east is more consistent, so Neutrogena a little advantage with the latitude north, so better trade wind for this boat. And we can expect them to be to equator around 5 days behind Cheminée Pujula. About One Planet, One Ocean and We Are Water, they are still very close together, around 50 nautical miles separate, and they have the same course with really strong anyway. It's 25-30 knots from northwest, and while it will pass very close to the exclusive zone at the last point of the waypoint of the exclusive zone for Antarctic, and the routage make them to be in the east of this anticyclone, and after to come back on the latitude to join equator. Renault Capture is still last night in really difficulty wind, very strong, still 60 knots and a little bit more in the gust. So a second night very rough for this boat. And now he's pretty close to Falkland Island. I suppose he will pass in the west of the island and he will have better conditions. The storm is decreasing. As fast as he goes in the north, he has less wind, so it could be better condition and take a little rest for them because 2 days really difficult for Renault Capture. About Spirit of Hungary, it's still under the influence of this big low pressure in the south, so southwest wind very rough, 35-40 knots of wind, so a good course close to the Antarctic exclusive zone to join Cap Horn, and this low will transport him to the Cap Horn very quickly, and we can estimate the boat to Cap Horn the 14th of March.